Hey everyone, it's Red1940 here. Today we're taking a look at Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. We're looking at the Miltech Simulations MH-60 Tango, part of the MH-60 pack. And we're doing another mission. This time it's to go investigate what could be a submarine or a shark even off the coast of Nantucket. So let's get started. Alright, I think we're all set, good to go here. We can turn the brake off, that's fine. Boost pumps don't need to be on. And I like seeing the crew member blocking my vision. That's just me. One thing I want to do is turn this to map. Go to the plan view, there we go. I could not get it working before when I was doing the other mission off of Alaska. This start point for this mission is strange. It's just at the middle of this runway intersection here. That's alright, we'll build some speed, fly out. I did adjust the mission time just to make it nicer because I think the sun's going to go down pretty soon in the next 30 minutes, and that's about as long as this mission should take. Alright, I'm curious to see what's out there. They say you can use sonobuoys and stuff, so I think if you wanted to do this mission in the MH-60 you can go ahead and do that as well. Though they wouldn't be operating out here unless they're transiting for some exercise or something to go somewhere else. Once again, this is Sim Update 3 in Microsoft Flight Sim, and it looks pretty damn good. And this skin, look at that. This is such a cool livery. I wonder if it's really like that, or is that just kind of an artistic take on making a cool skin. I could definitely see it being a real thing if they're stationed in Cape Cod. There are great whites off the coast there, I think, and yeah. I'm trying to think if I used to see hammerhead sharks when I was a kid, and I lived in there was some Navy housing in Pearl City Peninsula, and we used to go up along the waterfront there, and that was into Pearl Harbor, so there's different locks, and you could kind of see some of them out and pop up towards the middle of the locks near where we lived. So we never went swimming in that water because of that. And when I was in the Navy, I don't think I've ever seen one, although I did see my current job. I do ride a ship every once in a while, and I remember, I think we were in the Med, and I was looking off on the horizon. I was outside, it was kind of like afternoon time. Earlier than this, it had been about like, I don't know, 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and out of nowhere, I just saw this item like get flung out of the water with a big splash, and then a big splash when it re-entered the water, like huge splash, like something large was underneath that, whatever was thrown up in the air. And I don't know if that was a massive shark doing that, or if that was an orca that was doing that, because sometimes orcas will throw seals or sea lions up in the air and to try and mess with them and kill them. So it could have been that too, but I don't know that there are seals or sea lions in the Mediterranean. If you guys know, let me know, because I don't think I've ever seen them over there. I definitely see them a lot on the West Coast, in other parts, but not in the Med. Orcas do go into the Med, I think, because I remember there was a thing in the news where like these orcas were getting smart and was randomly attacking fishing boats and stuff like that, or pleasure sailing craft near Gibraltar, I think, in the Med around that area. It's pretty scary because they are big things, and they will kill you if they get their teeth on you. Alright, wow, this is really nice scenery out here. I was just noticing all the town names when I was coming in here to spawn the mission. So there's Churros out here, and Falmouth, and some others, and they're all towns from the UK, obviously. And I usually go down that way, Truro and Falmouth, every once in a while. It's quite a ways away if you come from San Diego, because you fly into London and then you gotta take a train down basically for 5 hours, get down to Truro, take another short train down to Falmouth. And Falmouth is a really beautiful really beautiful seaside village kind of thing. Really nice people down there too. Oops, didn't want to click that. Alright, let's double check. So we get this hunting for Jaws in the mission pack there, and then you can obviously hide it if you want. It'll disappear, so if you want to take pretty screenshots or videos, then that's a no factor, that'll fade away. So it says we want to enter the search zone, begin a visual search. Doesn't really say. I'm wondering which waypoint it's going to be. I'm guessing USR 6 is over there, so it's not going to be that. Is it just the final waypoint? Let's zoomed out. Let's zoom out there. Oh, that's quite a bit. All right. Well, I guess I'll fly this route and I'll follow it just in case it's not on the final spot. Maybe if it's in this line somewhere. And I don't want you guys to sit through 30 minutes of me yapping, so I'll pick this up when we find something. We're actually pretty close to it. If you look at that waypoint there, let me turn the autopilot off, acknowledge that. So they're not far off the coast there. We'll circle around, we'll get lower so we could actually see stuff. Might be a little challenging depending on our direction because of where the sun's at. This is always dangerous, diving down like this with no reference point. Water's going to come at you really fast. There we go. So it looks like it would be off the right side at the moment. Sun is going down. That's really cool. It looks really beautiful in Sim Update 3. Alright, let's make a pass on the right side. So we're just tasked, oh, the waypoint's over here. We're just tasked with finding whatever's out here, and then we've got to report back to our commanders. Well, I'm not seeing anything at the moment. Let's go ahead and use the find Jaws fast. Oh man, what? .5 nautical miles at 152. All right, 152 back this way. Oh, I think I see him actually. Yeah, there's a little dot on the center of my screen now. Here we go. Ooh, I'm gonna need a shot of this, whatever that is. Oh, what is that thing? Oh, that looks like a little narco boat, maybe. Like one of those SS, what do they call them? SSPs? Semi-submersibles? Get a close look at it. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Yeah, I've seen those. You found, wait, that's not a shark. Yeah. So the major annoyance I have now is if I was to try and take a screenshot, there is no way to get rid of this thing. No way. So it kind of ruins it for me. Yep. See how it always brings it up. No matter what I do. Well, that's pretty neat. Yeah, in real life they would... Yeah, I've seen quite a bit of these, and there's a base in Colombia that actually has quite a few of them from just captured in raids and stuff, and they have a narco submarine there as well. And we would go down, we went down there for a port visit because we were doing the anti-drug thing in the frigate, and as a sonar guy I was really curious to see what was in these things so I can figure out maybe something to listen for. And so they were really cool. They let me and some of my sonar guys go in the submarine, which was really cool. And you saw how they built it, and it was just amazing. And then they had a bunch of those things there too. Even the fishing boats, like they would, there's just so many ways to get drugs moved around in the ocean. They would put them in, sometimes in like barrels. They would create liquid cocaine and pour fuel over it, like diesel fuel. And so that liquid cocaine would be thicker than the diesel fuel, and it would, so if you opened up a barrel, it'd smell like fuel. You look in it, it kind of looked like fuel, so you wouldn't tell that there was cocaine in there, liquid form, obviously. And some of them, they would, it's just, it was crazy. There's just a ton of ways to move cocaine around. And we actually had a big bust. I got like an award for being part of, I think we got like $50 million in cocaine in one bust off the coast of, where was that? I think it was the coast of Guatemala. It was really nuts. It was like roaches kind of scattering, because what happens is they have big mother boats usually transport. If they're not using those semi-submersibles, they'll have like a big mother boat carry some up, and they'll move them around from fishing boat to fishing boat. And then eventually when they get up closer to the United States, they don't want to transport by boat because we have a pretty robust Coast Guard and Navy presence on the oceans around our coastline, especially off the coast of San Diego. There's a major naval base there, right? So there's lots of aircraft and ships coming and going. So they'll get up somewhere towards near Mexico, and then they'll have like these little boats, like speedboats, come and meet these motherships and just take all the cocaine and take it ashore as fast as possible. And we were able to raid, we just came across them and were able to disrupt a big operation that they were doing right when they were unloading. So it was really cool. Well, that was really fun. That was like the funnest deployment I had, was because I was on the VBSS team, and we had the Coast Guard law enforcement guys that would, because of the way our country is, the Coast Guard has to do the law enforcement stuff. So we can't stop drug boats on our own. It's got to be the Coast Guard doing it in a law enforcement action. So we actually come under tactical control from as part of the Coast Guard when we do these things, and we'll raise the Coast Guard flag actually on the ship. And so we would, as the Navy guys on VBSS, we would help relieve them after they captured and or took over a boat, or we would go in and I mean, sometimes the searches can be very thorough and take forever. So like we would help search the boats, and it's basically you want to do 100% accountability for spaces, right? Like every segment on a fishing boat that you suspect transferring cocaine, you need to account for. So that means like any spaces, if you think a bulkhead shouldn't be there, then obviously you have to figure out what's on the other side of that bulkhead, or if that bulkhead is a fake one, or what. And if imagine fishing boats are filled with packs of ice, and I used to have to, it was nuts. I boarded so many fishing boats. I would let's go head back actually. I would go and if you go down into a fishing hold, and if they're legit fishermen, they're going to be really annoyed with you, because you need that 100% space accountability. And if those guys are been out for like a week or two, and they've captured or they've caught some big tuna, you're gonna have to make them move it because it's like packed with ice. The whole spaces some spaces are filled to the top with ice and their catch. So you got to have them shifted around so that you can see the bulkheads across the cargo area where the fish are being held. And I have seen some gigantic tuna fish, and it just blows my mind. When I was a younger man, I didn't realize tuna got that big. We're talking like, nowadays with YouTube, you can go see what it's like at some of the fish markets in like Tokyo or something, with these prize like tuna catches. And I was seeing like some of that back then, and it was nuts because he was like as big as your arms can go around. That's how wide some of these tunas were, and it was just nuts to me that existed. I had no idea. So that deployment was cool. We pulled into Panama quite a bit, and we ended up that deployment. We kind of jokingly referred to it as the Panama 500, kind of like a NASCAR race because you were just going in and out of Panama. But I had the funnest time. That was like the best set of Liberty ports in Panama because my two best friends, we were all the senior sonar tech guys, and so they were the work center supervisors. There's 1 and 2. The aft tail guy, he wasn't even a tail guy. It's just we didn't have a competent tail person aside from me because I was the leading petty officer of the division. I didn't get into the daily maintenance paperwork stuff that would require running a work center. So anyways, we eventually got a bunch of new guys, and we all were in different duty sections. And when you go into port on Liberty, the duty is usually like every 3 days, depending on your crew size. Like you can go down to port and starboard if it's really bad, but we had 3-section Liberty duty on deployments. And because we were the senior guys, our chief had put each of us in separate duty sections so that there was always a senior experienced person there in case something had happened. Because for a sonar tech, the major concern when you're on duty in port is that something happens to the pressurization system for the sonar dome. So you can imagine underneath the ship where the sonar dome's at, it's got to have a certain amount of water pressure inside of it pushing outward against the pressure forces of the water that you're sitting in, right? Otherwise the dome will collapse in on itself, or if there's too much pressure in the dome, you could explode outwards, and that's a bad day either way, right? So eventually we complained to our chief, well, we're all getting out of the Navy eventually, and this was like our final deployment really. And we said, well, if you want to get the guys really experienced, we'll get them all trained up, but eventually they're going to have to take the reins, and he thought, okay, well, yeah, if you get everybody all qualled up and stuff, and then we do some rigorous training on the dome stuff, and he feels confident that they can handle it, he would let us be in the same duty section. So we diligently did that, and we thought he was the type of guy, like, he would say something like that and he just wouldn't do it. So we did it, and we completely thought he would not allow us to be in a duty section anyways and find the next thing for us to have to do. But he was cool. He actually, to our surprise, put us all in the same duty section like midway through deployment. And at that point, pulling into Panama was a blast because we would go on so many adventures. And if you're a young person and you want to join the Navy, one of the best things I think about it is that unlike some of the other branches, when you go on deployment, you're not hitting like one location. You're not hitting like 2 locations. You're hitting a bunch of locations. And even in the form of this deployment, we hit Panama a bunch of times, but every time we went, what's cool is like, you hear back from the other guys, and they'll tell you like, oh, hey, me and my group of friends, like, we went to here and we had this and we did that, and that was a lot of fun. And so the next day that you go out and you go do that, or the next time you go port visit, you come back there, you go try that out. And in Panama, I'll tell you one of the things where that really was true was we used to go to this hotel in the downtown business district area of Panama City in Panama, and the manager there knew us pretty much because he calls us the 3 amigos, and we'd always come in randomly, obviously because we couldn't phone ahead, and we would just request a room. And one day he wasn't there, and the staff was very confused because we just walked in and he wasn't around, so we just asked for a room, and they're like, well, where's your reservation? And we tried to explain to them, like, well, we never have a reservation, we just show up and you guys give us a room if you have one, because this is a big hotel. And they thought that was unheard of, and luckily he popped up and he's like, oh yeah, and he gave us like, one of the higher floored rooms, which was really nice. And one time I looked like somebody off the streets basically, because in Panama there's a port facility, but there's not a Navy base there anymore. I don't know if I think there was some military presence there when the U.S. Was down there quite a bit, because a lot of the buildings are old military U.S. buildings that were around. And anyways, this one particular time, we didn't pull into the port like normal, and it was strange because we always would just come into basically near the entrance of the Panama Canal. There's like a commercial port over there, and we would just easily park and go on liberty as soon as possible if you weren't on duty. And whatever reason, we were kind of in front of the canal and not pulling into the port. We were at anchor, which isn't too unusual in the grand scheme of things. Like, it is common when you're on deployment, if you can't fit into a pier because of where you're at, you just go to anchor and they get liberty boats to come out to you, and then you board the boats and they take you ashore. And this, if you think about a liberty boat and then you think about a big ship that you're on, there's going to be like 200 dudes trying to get off the ship at the same time, and obviously there's not going to be enough liberty boats or large enough liberty boats to accommodate that immediately. So if you're not quick to get out there when the liberty boats show up, then you could potentially be stuck in line on the ship for a long time. Because imagine once they take the people, if you're off the coast, like say maybe a nautical mile or 2 nautical miles or something, that takes some time for the small boat to come to whatever port facility it needs to get into, or dock or pier or something, get the people off and head back out. So it can take a long time. And if you're a junior sailor, you want to get the heck off the boat, right? And well, even if you're a senior one, everyone wants to get off the boat. But yeah, so my buddies and I, they usually give a warning and they say, okay, there's a liberty boat arriving or whatever. So we heard that, and we just ran out of berthing as fast as possible. And on the frigates, the main kind of passageway is like on the port side. And so we'd come up from our berthing. Was it berthing 2, I think, on the frigate. And we'd go around the corner and I start running back aft to where the boat deck's at, because I think that's where they're going to put the Jacob's ladder down for us to go board the liberty boat. And run back aft, and my friends are in front of me. So they're running through as fast as possible through the P-ways. And if you look at pictures of inside of a Navy ship, there's watertight doors, and there's a bulkhead between that. And the watertight door obviously doesn't sit flush with the floor. It actually is raised a little bit, and we call this a knee knocker, because you could skin your knee pretty bad if you're not stepping over it properly. Well, I did the opposite of that. I was running through, and my foot. Some of us would just, as a bad, dangerous habit, is if you're running, you step through the knee knocker and you kind of push off forward so you can kind of get a boost to go forward down the P-way. And I went a little too vertical when I pushed off the knee knocker, and my head actually hit the top part of, the opposite side of the knee knocker, the top part of the door frame, and like full running speed. And my vision just whited out and I fell to the ground. And I woke up, like it must have been seconds later, and nobody was around. My friends didn't hear what happened, so I kind of just feel my head and everything was just like fine. And I was like, well, that was bizarre because I've never had a whiteout thing like that, and I feel kind of dazed, but I'm still cognizant of like I need to get on this Liberty boat because my buddies are leaving. If they leave without me, then I don't have a Liberty buddy. I'm gonna have to find someone else, and I don't want to do that. So I make it down to the Liberty boat. I'm like the last person on the boat, and when I get out there, my friends were like, where the hell were you at? And I was like, well, I freaking hit my head and I fell to the ground, and they all kind of like laughed or whatever. And then afterwards, we get underway on the Liberty boat, so it's like mission success, and we're going pretty fast. And when we start to go towards the shore, we're going pretty fast, and so salt spray and salt. Oh, I didn't turn that off. The salt spray is hitting me, and it's kind of stinging my head, and I'm like, that's unusual. So I touch my head, and then I look at my hand, and it's like covered in blood. So I asked my friend, "What? Am I bleeding?" And he's like, "Yeah, you got a pretty gnarly like gash on your head." And but it's like it seems like it's all right to like it's not, you don't need stitches or anything, but it looks like you got a pretty good cut. And obviously with a head wound or a facial wound, you just bleed a lot more than the severity of the cut or the wound. So I was like, all right, whatever. I just kind of dealt with the pain. But I went to that hotel like that, and they looked at me like I was crazy because I hadn't had the time to like clean myself up or anything. I needed to get to the room to do that. And the manager guy kind of laughed because he knew that we were a bunch of knuckleheads, being young knuckleheads in Panama. But yeah, so that was my little story about Liberty. I love Panama. I want to go back there as a tourist or something, and maybe with my buddies. That would be really fun to have a reunion down there, party. There's a place called the Decameron Resort, which is a little north of Panama City, I think, if I remember correctly. And it was like an all-inclusive resort. And it was one of those things where your other friends kept going there, and they were telling us like, "Oh, you guys need to go to Decameron. It's like awesome down there." And for like 6 months, we just never did it. And I think the last month, we said, "Okay, we'll go up there with you guys." And then we all had different rooms and stuff. And sure enough, that was a blast, and we regretted that we didn't go up there all the dang time every time we pulled into Panama. So, yeah. It was like all you can eat, all you can drink is all paid for. It was like $150 a night, or less than that actually, maybe like around 120 a night. All you can eat, all you can drink, and we're like, we're sailors. We'd easily drink $120 worth of food or booze and eat $100 worth of food a day. So, yeah. Anyways. This was a nice little flight. I wish this could go away. I wanted to take more screenshots. I think I'll have to, for a thumbnail or something, I'm going to have to redo this mission, just not being... Oh, I don't know how I'm going to do that, actually. I want to get a nice picture of that stuff without this in here. Well, so we'll see if I can. I think if I don't launch the mission, obviously there's not going to be an item over there for me to find, whatever. But yeah, this was pretty good. This was the JAWS mission for the Miltech Simulations mission hub for the MH-60. Really neat helicopter. This is Microsoft 2024 Flight Simulator. I think I'm finally transitioning into it. One of the things I don't like is just the default aircraft at airports kind of annoys me. And I used to like FSLTL, which does the traffic injecting for Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. It just doesn't work, I think, for 24, so you're stuck with using the default traffic that comes with the simulator, and sometimes it injects like funny planes and funny liveries at airports. It's more noticeable at international airports that have big jetliners. So you'll see some house factory colors for the jets at the gates. It just looks really funny. Anyways, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below and I'll get to them as soon as possible. See you on the next one. Bye!